Round 4 of the National Cyclocross Trophy is about to get underway, and can we just take a moment to appreciate how relaxed Nick Craig is here, number 24 in the Scott kit. Like, we're about to go full whack into round 4 down a tarmac straight, and he's like chill, tightening his shoes. I'm ready to and raring to go, look at that. But we're off, and it was a fast tarmac straight. Look, you can see I'm trying to move up, but there was just no space, and to be honest, everyone was just shifting, and it goes into this little left-hander, then right-hander before you get to the first like bottleneck for riders. So down into this off-camber section, we've now hit the field, we're in the grass, everyone is off dismounting, apart from, I think his name's Thomas, number 28. Fair play to staying on his bike there. It was pure carnage, bodies everywhere, everyone's running like nutters trying to get through. He stayed on his bike, mad respect for that, so I needed to call that out. But yeah, it was just bodies everywhere now. People are just trying to move up, and just here I should have remounted, but I stupidly decided to stay off the bike and run because I knew I was going to have to get off again in a second. But if you look here, I think I lose like 4 places. That's 1, 2, 3, and then I think another guy comes round me on the left, 4, and then I think another guy comes round me after that, just there on the left, for 5. So I lost 5 places through making a bad call there, and you're just slipping back down the field. And look how much time you lose through having to stop on these corners. So it was a bad call. I thought the corner up ahead was a lot closer than it was, and it turns out I'm a really slow runner. But look, you can just see everyone trying to get past. Now this was the first proper, I mean, Falkirk was muddy, but this was a pure mud bath. Look, little ruts around that corner, love it. But it was full gas, and I was in the hurt box the start of this race. We had raced, so I had raced Andover Supercross the day before this, and my legs were in Shell City today, but I knew I was just going to go out hard and try and hang on for dear life again. But you can see here, I'm trying to stay with this group ahead, and we're about to go into the first sort of muddy section as we turn around this corner here. It wasn't real muddy this bit, but a little right-hander, look at that, bodies everywhere. And then it was just full gas down this straight towards like the sandpit area. So we're just absolutely shifting here. You can see a little bit of mud. The camera doesn't do it justice. This was a lot muddier than it looks, but I'm absolutely hanging on for dear life here. Jamie comes past me there on the right, and I've tried to slip in behind him, but instead I think I try and go back past him after this corner as we go into the muddy section. I have a little bit of a nightmare here. It's slippy, I'm sliding all over the place. I go off the course, back on the course, and then I'm just trying to get through this mud. It was thick. Look at the guys just grinding it out, trying to get through. But anyway, we come into the sand pit now. It wasn't quite like Andover Supercross. It was basically, it wasn't as deep, the sand, so it was quite easy to get through. I'd say it was probably one of the easier sections of the course. But as we come through it here, this is where it turns into an absolute bloody mud bath and pure misery. It was off, bike on the shoulder, running. I'm gonna speed this little bit up because you do not want to just stare at the mud. But look at that, it was unrideable. But as we speed it up, I think just here on the left, Josh Jones passes us like a steam train. He goes to trip over. I then run into his back wheel. Absolute numpty. And then if you see there on the left, number 24, Nick Craig, the legend, comes past us. Look how easy he has just made that mud look. He's going through it like it's nothing. I then veer off over there and I think whack into Oscar. Sorry about that. But yet again, we were back off and running. Look at that mud. That is an absolute mud bath. And I'm going to speed this bit up again, but that was pure misery. I thought I was a half-decent runner, and I always tell the Rocket, yeah, I'm pretty good at running, but these boys can run. They are Mo Farah. I was in the hurt locker now, and you can see they've opened up a gap on me there. And right now, I'm just thinking, this is hurting, my legs are hurting, my lungs are about to jump out my chest, but I need to try and close that gap down in front, because I want to try and finish this race today. I wanted to get to the end after my success at Andover Supercross. I wanted to get to the end of this race. But just here, the animal that is Phil Pearce, I think, comes past me. Yep, and I'm like, when you see this man come past, I was like, you've just got to jump on that wheel. And he's a machine. He will tow you back on to that group in front. But I mean, I tried my best to get on his wheel, but as soon as it got to this section here, he's just powerful. He's just putting down the power, opening up a gap on me, and you can't let these gap goes. But that little bit there where he came past me gave me that little bit of motivation to shift it up a notch and try and get dragged back onto that group. But he did distance me a bit, but you can see how quickly, if you get onto that group in front, you can start making up places. And just as I started to get distance from Phil, I think it was just here, Jamie Gostick comes past me, and that was just the perfect timing for the motivation I needed, just to that, you know, when you just need to kick that little bit more again. And he gave me that motivation just there to jump on his wheel. And I mean, this first lap, I cannot get used to it. At national level, it is balls to the wall. It is so fast and painful. But that little dig from Jamie there helped massively. So you can see I'm clinging on for dear life right now. And as we come into this next section, we're about to start running again. It is a misery mud bath. And just here, it is off, shoulder the bike and running. So I'm gonna speed this bit up again, because you do not want to see me running. Running is not fun. It is not enjoyable. But as I was running past the pits here, Dad was going nuts. He was like, pit now, and I decided to ignore him and just carry on. I get it in my head that I just gotta keep going, whereas sometimes I think I should pit, but I thought next time I go past the pits, I'm gonna have to, or he is gonna go absolutely nuts. But we're back on the bike and we are riding, thankfully, and I'm managing to just cling on to Jamie's wheel here. And it was after this first lap where I started to feel a little bit better and move up. So we're yet again off the bike and over the hurdles. I mean, the amount of running, my legs were absolute shell city. But that was lap 1, so we're coming through. Jamie started to distance me a little bit here, but I was just digging in and trying to keep pushing on as hard as I can. I stupidly, look at my shadow, decided to dismount this section, and it was because I got thrown out from lap 1. After this, I did start riding it. It was so much faster to ride, but this is when I started moving up. I got my first overtake, and we are moving. And as I come round this muddy corner here, I think Nick overtakes me just here on the right. And this was good because me and him were like battling it, not really battling it out, but we were sort of like racing together for quite a long time, and we started to shift and move up, and we were taking people down. Me and Nick started to move up through the field, and it was feeling legendary. So as we come through here, I did decide to pit this time. You'll be pleased to know Nick pits in front, I pit, thankfully, before Dad went absolute nuts at me, and I'll give him his little moment of glory, waving at the camera, cleaning you off, ready for the next lap. And Nick decided to ride this bit, absolute nutter, but it didn't last long. He was off and we were running again. Look, more running. It was just, I mean, maybe the front guys, I didn't get to see them, were riding through this, but I think it was just a complete battle. But it was here that we started to shift. Me and Nick started to move up and take down some people. So I moved past him here, and I think he jumps on my wheel. We get that guy on the right, and I think we also overtake Kishran Bakrani just here. He's on the left there. I'm going to be racing him this weekend as well, I think. So we were off running again, and we were starting to close down the gap on the people in front. So Nick's on my wheel, and it was just here we were ready to take our first victim and go for our first overtake. And I think it was Freddie in front here. Yes, it was. So as we go into this next muddy section, poor Freddie, rest in peace. We just need to take a moment's silence for Freddie's shoe that he loses just here. You've got to laugh about it, but what a stinker. And then Nick comes past me like bloody Mo Farah. The man's turned into a running machine. He absolutely ripped my legs off here on this run, and you'll see as we come out the other side, he put a gap into me, but that injection of speed helped us then get on to the next guy, and we'd like bridged back up to Jamie, who dropped me earlier in the race. And he's a seriously fast runner, is Nick. God, he was shifting. But just here through the corner section, you see I rode it this time, and it made such a difference. And Jamie and Nick were starting to put a bit of a gap into me, but I managed to just dig in at this point. It was hurting big time. Back into pits to give the old man something to do, give you a nice little clean off as he runs away, look, and he counts every time he's done a little pit change. But we were back off and running, and you can see Jamie just ahead there. As we go around this next corner, for some reason I put a little shift in through this mud. I managed to get past him. It was a little bit elbowy here, but I just got past, and you can see Nick just in front. I don't know where this shift come from for me, but we're back off and running, and I managed to close the gap back down to Nick running here. So I was back on his wheel. I couldn't believe it myself. And we were ready to shut down the gap and take the next victim. And I think it's through this next section here. You can see we've closed the gap down on the next victim, ready for the overtake. And as we were coming into this section, I had to let him know my thoughts on Devon.
I ain't coming to Devon again. This is miserable.
It was bloody miserable going through this mud, but we were starting to move, and it was feeling good, actually overtaking people at a national level. So it was into the next mud section again. Nick turned into a bloody Olympic runner again, but this time I absolutely sold my soul to try and stay with him. He was absolutely shifting through this mud, and as he remounts here, I'm like, yeah, I've stayed with him. I'm going to go for a cheeky little overtake on the inside here. And I managed to sneak past him before the hurdles, a naughty little overtake. And then we were sort of with each other for a little bit now through the next lap or so. And we go back into pits here. And I'll let Dad have his moment of glory again as he cleans you off to let you know this is his third time he's had to clean a bike today. But yeah, as we start moving again, we were working well together. We were sort of like battling each other and just picking off riders. As we went into this next section, he got me back and I was in Shell City. He'd done that naughty little move around the outside, and I just couldn't go with him when he turned it on through this section. And you can see I am burying myself to try and stay with him here, but I just couldn't quite do it. And I think just there he decided not to pit. I go back into the pits for number 4 for the old man. And you can see the gap. Oh no, he did pit. You can see the gap he had put into me on that little section. And I was in the hurt locker. So we were coming round into like the 2 laps to go now. And you can hear me shouting to the comms.
No. Right on the limit.
Because they told me I was right on the limit to get the 80% cut, but I just snuck through, you'll be pleased to know. And then I had a little chat with the wife.
I'm totally shagged.
And that is honestly it. I was getting cramp in my hamstring. I was in a bad place at this point. But you can see Nick just in front of me. He started to put the burners on and he dropped me. But we're actually going to make it a full race at Nationals. Here was me coming into the pits for bike change number 5. Dad was an absolute hero this day. But as we come through, we made it a full race at Nationals. I am taking the bell lap for the first time. It's a bloody miracle. I cannot believe it myself, but as I was saying, I was getting cramp in my hamstring bad. You can see Nick on the left there. He started to open up the gap, and I think just there on the right, you can see Finn. He managed to close the gap down to that. I didn't quite. Here's me coming into pits, letting Dad know.
My hamstring's cramping. Keep getting cramped. Good lads, come right, let's go.
And this is all the sympathy I got from him.
Nice and stridey if you can. Yeah, go on, great ride, George.
Last push.
Go on, last little bit. One in front, you can do that. Easy.
Go on, George.
Let's go. Yeah.
He was loving it, but my hamstring was not loving it, and I was a complete shell at this point. But in all honesty, I was absolutely over the moon to actually make it to the end of a national race. It felt like a massive achievement. I didn't get like a great start in this race. I made a few stupid mistakes. I didn't move up at the start. I'd done that stupid little run where I should have been on the bike trying to move a little bit faster. But as I got into the race, after this is second race in a row, I managed to start moving up, which I was really happy with. And it's a really good race where I was like getting pushed on by Nick massively. So that was absolutely mega. And this is the final little bit of footage where we take the final few corners and take the checkered flag for the first time. What a miracle. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I absolutely loved this race after it was finished, because it was hell during the race. But I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next video.